It's not uncommon for certain games to fly under the radar for a while. Maybe they got slammed with bad reviews, came out at a tough time, or just didn't get enough love in the marketing department. But you know what? That doesn't mean they're not worth checking out. In fact, a bunch of these games are like hidden treasures just waiting to be discovered. Hey guys, it's Andy, and today on Super Jump Reviews, 5 most underrated games new PS5 owners must buy. At number 5 is Evil West. So picture yourself in the Wild West, overrun by vampires, armed to the teeth and ready for some serious action. That's the adrenaline rush Evil West promises, pulling you in with its vampire-filled world. Taking cues from games like Devil May Cry and God of War, Evil West seamlessly combines shooting with up-close melee combat. So whether you're unloading bullets or getting your hands dirty with melee weapons, the gameplay packs a satisfying punch. No pun intended. The game is fun in that you always have new abilities to try out before getting bored. Moves like shocking enemies with electricity to delivering jaw-dropping uppercuts. It has a weird, cartoony, but realistic look. Personally, I couldn't get enough of launching enemies into explosive barrels. There's just something about it that's extremely satisfying to watch. Sure, Evil West might get a bit repetitive at times, but its flashy moves and thrilling combat make it easy to forgive. While I don't think it's the best looking game out there, its unique art style sets it apart. Oh, and the clever use of motion blur adds to the atmosphere without getting in the way. And if you're playing on the PS5, Evil West runs like a dream at 60 FPS with lightning fast loading times. Plus, the DualSense adaptive triggers provide an immersive touch that really amps up the experience. The only drawback is the 1080p resolution. Ouch. I think what really makes Evil West stand out is its clear sense of purpose. It fully embraces its action-packed linear gameplay without bogging players down with unnecessary objectives or collectibles.
God damn it, that hurt!
And with ammo reloading automatically, you can focus on the fun without worrying about running out of bullets. Thank God for that, because I just can't imagine having to collect ammo in this game. While the story might not be groundbreaking, it's entertaining and easy to follow, fueled by the game's delightfully cheesy writing. Evil West delivers a thrilling experience that's sure to surprise and delight players looking for fast-paced action with a vampire twist. And number 4 is Death Stranding, Director's Cut. The other day, a friend asked me what the deal is with Death Stranding. He wanted to know what you actually do in this game. I was at a loss for words. Usually I'm good at making comparisons, but Death Stranding is in a league of its own. I honestly didn't know what to tell him. Is it a UPS simulator? I mean, you do deliver packages, but there's so much more going on underneath. It's about prepping for the delivery and the journey itself. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the journey. Damn. That's what I should have told him. The game is all about the journey. Every step you take, every obstacle you overcome, it's all part of this immersive experience unlike anything else out there. You've got those quiet moments. Hello? 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 The intense ones, and the rush when your car goes in trouble. Then there's that sweet relief when you finally reach your destination. It's not just about you though. The game's all about connecting with others through the social strand concept. You'll see signs from other players as you trek along, warning you about dangers or sharing helpful tips. Oh, by the way, whoever left this ladder behind, thanks. Walking's a big part of it, no doubt, but it's not just about putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you gotta sneak around, fight off threats, or dodge those spooky BTs. The game is weird though. I mean, you're literally using bodily fluids as weapons at times. And don't even get me started on the baby in a jar. Unless you're familiar with Kojima's work, it's best not to put too much thought into things. Just accept the weirdness for what it is. I actually found this game to be quite emotional at times. Have you ever been on a long road trip and suddenly just took a moment to stand still and take in the sights? Or appreciate how much you experienced since you've been gone from home? It's sort of like that at times. There's no simple way to sum up Death Stranding. It's a journey you've got to take for yourself. And number 3 is Kena, Bridge of Spirits. What a delightful surprise this game turned out to be. It's proof that you don't need a massive budget to make a fantastic game. I gotta give huge props to Ember Lab for creating such an incredible action-adventure experience. In this game, you play as Kana, a young spirit guide with magical abilities, on a mission to help souls transition from the physical world to the spirit world. The gameplay feels like a throwback to classic third-person action games, with a touch of the Legend of Zelda vibe. The controls are straightforward, with light, heavy, and charge attacks, along with the versatility of your staff as both a weapon and a bow. Despite its relatively short playtime of around 8 hours, the upgrade system feels just right. You know, not every game needs to be an epic, sprawling adventure spanning dozens of hours. And I know my subscribers will appreciate this, because I've looked into my analytics, and I see that most of you guys are in the 25 to 35 age range, meaning you're probably married with kids and have very little time for long, drawn-out games. And if you're not married, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with being single. What really caught my attention from the get-go was the stunning art style and presentation. Here's a fun fact. The game's art was crafted in collaboration with Sparks, a Vietnamese animation studio based in Ho Chi Minh City. It's actually heartwarming to see Vietnamese talent contributing to the gaming world, especially with such breathtaking results. The visuals remind me of a Pixar film, and those adorable rot companions you collect throughout the game add a touch of that Studio Ghibli magic. I was initially worried they might be too distracting, but they actually enhance the experience, aiding you in puzzles and combat.
Hey, the little rock guys did it! They made another one!
And let's not forget that breathtaking animation when you purify the force of corruption. It's like a wave of magic washing over everything, restoring it to its former glory. While the story might not be groundbreaking, the game's charming characters and majestic score more than makes up for it. I think if you're craving some classic action-adventure gameplay with a modern twist, Kana, Bridge of Spirits is an absolute gem waiting to be discovered. But then again, I could be wrong. I got this message the other day from a previous video. And number 2 is RoboCop Rogue City. Your mileage may vary depending on what platform you play it on, but for the most part, I think the overall gameplay experience will be the same. If you didn't know, that's actually code for me saying you should play it on PC. I went into this game thinking it was just another first-person shooter, but soon realized it's more action role-playing. You spend half your time tracking down people for interrogation, and the other half taking out drug dealers. Tracking down people involves using your detective skills to scan crime scenes for clues, kind of like in the Batman Arkham games. And when you're not doing that, you're blasting your way through drug dealers, which is just as fun as it sounds. The shooting feels solid, and being able to upgrade your weapon is a nice touch. The game starts off a little rough though, but once it gets going, you begin to appreciate what the game has to offer. The environments, for example, look great. They're diverse, detailed, and set the perfect tone with their moody lighting. And those destructible environments, man, like watching a room get blasted apart by gunfire is almost poetic. It reminds me of the scene from The Matrix where they're having the shootout in the lobby and plaster is like flying over the place. The blood splatter effects are neat too, even if they do look a bit chunky sometimes. And hey, shooting a guy in the crotch never gets old. If that weren't enough, they even got Peter Weller to do the voiceover. I have to admit, after all these years, he still got it. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the NPCs that roam the area. They're pretty generic, to be honest. It's almost like they just pulled aside who is ever available at the moment and asked them to do a quick reading. Yeah, it's that bad. If you're a fan of the movies, you'll definitely love this game. If you're a fan of first-person action games, you'll love this game too. It might not have all the bells and whistles of a big-budget blockbuster, but it nails the tone and atmosphere of the original films perfectly. A hidden gem, no doubt about it. And finally, at number 1 is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, an action-adventure game based on the Marvel Comics superhero team Guardians of the Galaxy. What a surprise this turned out to be. I've had bad experiences in the past with movie tie-in games, so I wasn't expecting much here. Fortunately, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is an exception. It's a straight-up action single-player experience that's a little heavy on the cinematics. If you enjoyed the movies, you're gonna like this one. And if I had to take a guess, there's a lot of you out there. Each character has their own special attack that makes them unique and fun to use. The action can get slightly chaotic at times. More often than not, it can start to look like a free-for-all at certain points.
These guys mess with the wrong potassium!
We've got to apply more pressure!
Luckily, you're only responsible for your main character, and the rest are like basically assist characters, which you can call in at random times. There's also a little bit of platforming. Nothing crazy, but traversing the gorgeous looking environments requires more than just moving from one point to the next. Sometimes you'll have to hit a switch, and other times you'll need help from another character to clear a path. Visually, the game looks phenomenal. The action set pieces look like they were lifted straight from the movies. And if you're playing this on PlayStation 5, make sure you're using the 30 FPS mode. It's just too big of an image quality drop when using the 60 FPS mode. Not only is the resolution reduced, but graphical effects get scaled back significantly as well. I think this game is way too beautiful to be playing on anything other than the 4K quality mode.
Keep running! Stop walking around, man! Really? Well, this way!
The story is also surprisingly really good. Not only do cutscenes feel more interactive, but decisions you make have more weight to them. And I really like games that allow me to do that. Make choices, I mean. Something about it just makes me feel like I'm more in control. It's like you have more of an influence on how things play out, as opposed to having things already set in stone. Does that make sense? The dialogue is well written, and the superb voice acting gives the characters life and personality. There's also a few QuickTime events thrown in there as well, which I'm always a huge fan of since my Shenmue days on the Dreamcast. If you're a Marvel fan that happens to like story-driven games with great dialogue, fantastic visuals, and an excellent 80s soundtrack, then this is the game for you. Here's an honorable mention I'd like to share. It's the latest installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Assassin's Creed Mirage is like a breath of fresh air in the open world game scene. So what sets it apart? Well, if I had to put it bluntly, it's the simplicity. Unlike other AC games that feel like a never-ending to-do list, Mirage keeps it straightforward. The city is smaller, the objectives are more manageable, and the whole campaign feels less like a chore. This is perfect for people who have a family to care for and have only a few hours each night for gaming. The developers really trimmed down the fat here, which makes the gameplay feel more focused and engaging. Even the synchronization points are scaled down. There's less of them, but you still get those epic views. The upgrade system follows suit. Fewer abilities mean you actually use the one you've got. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when a game gives me too many abilities, I often forget I even have them. Most of the time, I just use the 2 or 3 I'm familiar with. Mission objectives also play out differently. You're not just diving straight into the action anymore. You're tracking down info, gathering clues, and piecing it all together. It adds a mystery vibe to the usual AC formula, which I absolutely love. Sure, sometimes finding the last clue can be a headache, but each mission feels fresh and different. And those tailing missions, you know, those annoying missions where you have to follow a guy for decades, they're done right this time. Not too many, and not too tedious. Plus, they're taking inspiration from other games. Sometimes it feels like you're in Ghost of Tsushima, planning your approach and executing assassinations with style. Speaking of assassinations, there's a nice variety here. Whether you're sneaking in or causing chaos, each one feels unique and satisfying. The finishing moves are a nice touch too. And don't forget the side stuff. The contract requests are okay, but the Tales of Baghdad, now those are something special. They're personal, meaningful side missions that add depth to the main story campaign. In a way, I feel like Assassin's Creed Mirage is a reset for the franchise. It goes back to basics, with simpler combat and more impactful missions. And honestly, I'm all for it.
Let's keep your guard up. Got you on the back.
Some people were bitching about the story, but for me, Mirage might just be the best AC game yet. It's what I wish the series was from the very beginning. And that's all for today, guys. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, give it a like. Subscribing to the channel is free. Don't forget to enable notifications. And of course, thanks for watching or leaving the video on while you're doing something in the background. I'm Andy. You can follow me on Twitter at AndyTalkGames. Later.